Hey guys, welcome back to the Girlfriends and Goals podcast. My name is Samaria and I'm joined by my best friend and co-host,
Miosha.
Miosha. Okay, sorry y'all. And today we're reviewing Married at First Sight, season 18, episode 1. If you're interested in this season of Married at First Sight, make sure you subscribe to our channel so that, you can come back and watch our reviews after every episode. Give this video a thumbs up and meet us in the comments to let us know what you think about the couples so far. I, for one, am loving the age range. I love that we have older people on this season.
Hmm.
So even though there are pros and cons, like if you're a little bit older, maybe you're stuck in your ways, and so it's hard. And
Hmm.
if you're younger, maybe you still have some years to mature. So
Hmm.
I like the older
Yeah, it's
range.
such an extreme process that you'd think people in their 20s wouldn't jump into something like this. But at the same time, I don't know, some of these people, given their age and some of the things that they're saying, I also feel like, well, why now? So,
Yeah. Okay. So let's dive right in and start with Michelle and David. So Michelle is 38 and David
hmm
is 35. Miosha's gonna pull up the picture so we know because I
hmm
I don't even quite remember what everybody looks like yet. But yes, okay. Michelle and David. All right.
hmm
So Michelle starts by telling her friends who seemed very supportive and super happy for her. So I don't think there's going to be any issue with family support there, really.
No, they start off by saying that, well, she says she's been single for 6 years. And she specifically said that, oh, I don't need a man to protect and provide for me, but I would want an equal partner who's
Mm-hmm.
confident in themselves. So she comes across as a woman who really knows what she wants. And it's
Very
not
much
surprising.
so.
She's 38 years old, so she's had some time to date around. And she says she's been single for 6 years, so she's been out in the dating streets, it sounds like.
Girl, she knows so much about what she wants. She pretty much described David between what she said about the man she wants and what her friend said she usually looks for. It's David, physically
Now,
at least.
speaking of being very specific, she says, I want a light-skinned black guy, really
Mhm.
built. That's awfully specific.
It's so specific. Like a light skinned black guy, not just a black guy, not just a light skinned black guy, well built.
And there's a
I don't
lot
know.
more I could say on that, but
There's a lot more I'm gonna say because
mm,
she said that she comes from Dunlap, Illinois, which I meant to check the demographics of Dunlap, but I'm
mhm.
guessing it might not be very diverse. And so it seems like she left there, went to the big city, and said goodbye, to use her term, vanilla. I
Yeah, so she doesn't want anyone too vanilla. Then she follows up to say, "Oh, some tattoos would be nice."
her friends called out that she would love a guy with a man bun, and then of course the editors cut to David with his man bun sitting there with his family. So I mean,
That's a very specific feature. You
i,
don't see
I
those
hope it
very often.
works for her.
And I hope these experts aren't playing with us and these people's lives by picking people based off of hairstyles.
But okay, in the past we have criticized the experts for not giving people what they want, and this season it seems like they have given people either that or the editing is making it seem like they've given people
Mm.
exactly what they want, because you'll hear somebody say, "Oh, I like a man, I love spicy food and I would want my partner to like spicy food." And then you'll cut to this guy who's like, "Yeah, I eat hot peppers for a living." Like that's the type of vibe it's giving this season.
I
So
guess within reason, I'm on board with that with certain things. A man bun, I don't know.
Anyway, so let's talk about David. So I put, well, he's definitely light skinned, and he's like mixed with a few things, but if you saw him, you'd
Yeah, there
probably,
seems to be a mixture of things going on. But
yeah.
he mentioned, I know, Puerto Rican. So,
Puerto Rican. His dad is at least half black.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
So
was
he's mixed
confused.
race.
I was
Yeah.
confused because one grandma was clearly white, and then the other one, I guess, is Puerto Rican. So I'm guessing a grandfather somewhere was black, or maybe both grandfathers were black. But
Yeah.
either way, he's light skinned. He appears to be a black male. So
Mm-hmm.
I think she'd be happy with that. And then, just to your point about her saying that she's Miss Independent, she doesn't need a man, he talks about how he wants someone who's loyal and who's independent and strong and confident, like the women who raised him.
Mm-hmm. Said he's a proud mama's boy. Hmm.
You know what concerns me though? When someone says that they want strong independent, I'm like, okay, do you want that because it sounds good and because you're trying to honor the women, or do you know in your day-to-day life how you interact with a woman who is strong and independent and confident? Like, are you sure this is what you want, or does it just sound good?
Admirable because you see that quality in the women around you, but would that be valuable to you in a romantic relationship?
Romantic
And then
relationship.
even with
Yeah.
the whole strong and independent thing, there's so many layers to it. Was it because
Yep.
they had to be? Was that comfortable for them? Some
Hmm.
people, they may despise it, but they had no choice and just leaned into it. So now they kind of wear it as a badge in a
Yeah.
sense. So whenever I hear people say that, specifically about women, I always pause a bit where it's like, oh, I want to hear more about their life story.
Yeah. What does strength? I wrote down, I want to know what strength looks like to him. Because she could be
Hmm.
strong in the ways that you don't like, or independent in moments when you don't want her to be independent, or whatever. So I would be curious to see how it plays this season. It sounds like she's his
Hmm.
type as well.
Very specific. He says he has a sweet spot for white women with blonde hair and blue
Blue
eyes.
eyes. I don't
Oh,
know if
do
she has
you?
blue eyes, but she's
She
blonde.
doesn't, but she checked the white with blonde hair. So,
Yeah, it'll be very
you
interesting to
know,
see how this plays out.
it's always interesting for me to hear people. I mean, we all have our desires and preferences, but it's
Mhm.
always interesting to me when people describe their preference being something that they're not
Completely
themselves.
different. Isn't that great? Because I have preferences that are very much what I look like. Like,
And it's not to say that you can't vary
yeah,
or veer outside of what you look like, but for that to be your sweet spot, okay.
both of them. It's interesting, but I mean, whatever.
But it may
Uh,
work because they both have described desiring, at least physically,
yes,
what the
yeah.
other person is. The last thing I wrote for them is that the grandmas are just too cute, and I love how excited they are for them. I don't know, with shows like this, it's hard for me because I love to see the parents and grandparents so supportive because
Yeah.
I know this is a big undertaking. At the same time, people are getting emotionally invested in this
Hmm.
working out for you, and we know the mess that these shows can be.
We do
So,
know. Yeah.
but yeah, the grandmas were so cute.
Uh, okay. Ikechi and MM. So,
Okay.
oh, sorry. For David and Michelle, it's just a 3 year age difference. Do you think that's going to come into play since he's the one who's 3 years younger? I don't necessarily think so, but I just wanted to pose that.
Not at 35 and 38. I don't think so.
Yeah. But there
We
was a
shall see.
preview showing that I guess he lives at home. So maybe that's where that might come in. But other than
Mm-hmm.
that, shouldn't be a big deal. Okay, Ikechi and MM.
All
All right.
right.
He is 41. Can we start with Ikechi?
Mm-hmm.
He's 41. He used to live in Houston. Ooh, he looks good in that suit. That's a really nice color.
It is.
It is. But he used to live in Houston. He tried to get on Married at First Sight in Houston, which I don't know if you watched that season, Miosha, but it
I
was
heard it was a
quite
mess.
it was quite the mess. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I find it a little bit surprising that a Nigerian man in Houston was having trouble dating, since there are a lot of Nigerian women in Houston who are doing the doggone thing.
Houston, I think, is the most diverse, like, metro area in the US. I'm sorry. I am having a hard time believing he was having difficulty in Houston, of all places, as a
Yes.
man. You're already you already outnumber the women there, and you have literally a little bit of everybody.
So I do wonder, and like if he had said, "Oh, I left Chicago and I'm having this issue," or I was having this issue in Chicago and so I left and came to Houston, then I would be like, okay, maybe. I don't know what Chicago is really like, but I can imagine it might not be as diverse as like Houston. So,
Honestly, maybe I'm not giving men enough credit, but when I see black men over the age of 40 who are not married and they're like, oh, it's because, how did he describe it? He's like, dating has been hell. You have the pick of who a lot of people.
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe if you were in Seattle, some random other town, I'd believe it. But
Mhm.
for me, I think what's giving me pause with him is that I didn't even watch how Houston played out. So you've watched this show, you know how things typically go, and
Mhm.
you sign up again. You don't pay for a professional matchmaker.
Between, cuz Houston was what, 20, let's say 2020. So within 4 years or so, depending on when they filmed for each of those, but in 4 years, 4 or 5 years, you haven't been able to find anybody. I don't know. We'll see. He seems like a nice guy from this first episode. If I didn't know anything about Houston and its population, I probably wouldn't have thought anything was wrong here. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, so far he does seem like a nice guy who has his stuff together. He's saying all the right things, and you would think at 41, yeah, you're probably ready to settle down. So maybe we should give him more of a clean slate to
can
start.
may I say something? So
Yes, you may.
thank you. But it could also be career. So in Houston, maybe men who have, very high paying careers are the ones who have their pick. But he said that he
Mm.
is more of a creative, he's artistic. He was a high school band director. So he might not have been making much money. And then he became an academic advisor at a college, which better than what a high school band director makes, but still
Hmm.
not like balling like many of the other men in Houston. And then now
Hmm.
he's a high school college counselor. So maybe that could make him less competitive in the dating market in Houston if the women are also
Hmm.
making a lot of money. I don't know. But
Yeah. Hmm. I don't
anyway,
know. He says he's looking for a safe space and a best friend. He says this experience is kind of like Christmas. I guess.
what
I
kind
don't
of
know.
nightmare Christmases has he had?
What got me was his friend's reaction. Specifically, the guy was like, "Wait, you're getting married? For real married? Oh,
Yeah.
a real
Um,
wedding?"
he also said that he wants someone who he can take care of. So he wants to make sure gas is in her car. He wants to make sure all these amazing things. And so I don't know. He paints himself as a catch, and we'll see if he actually is. So yeah.
Yeah.
But to get to a mem, it does seem like both of them, at least from what they say, want to be in service to their partner. So that could be
Hmm.
something that goes well. Like if he really wants to make sure breakfast is made and her car is taken care of and all this stuff, and she is also interested in serving him whatever that looks like for her, that could be a good pairing.
Hmm. Yeah, it could. She says she's looking for her soulmate, a partner. She says she feels like men will date her, but haven't been willing to take that next big step. She
Mm-hmm.
wants to basically skip the process and be with someone who wants to be married. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I've heard that a lot. So that's why sometimes when I see men like him, I'm like, is it that you're not finding good quality women or you just want to play around and not take the next big step of commitment? And we have
Yeah.
another participant in this experiment who also is seeming like that may have been their vibe as well, as you
Mm-hmm.
know, they're a little bit older and now they're ready to get married at
Yeah.
42. So.
Did you have much else on Mem? I mean, she said that she's been told to focus on her career most of her life and that relationships weren't a priority. And so now she's ready to focus on a relationship and she's ready to give her all to a partner, which, I mean, sounds
Yeah.
like somebody who was raised in an African household.
Yeah, her story is a lot of people of that background where it's like, okay, now all the things are lined up, but it's not as easy to just flip a switch and find your person. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm glad she shared that aspect of her upbringing because I think maybe it can help maybe younger women and men to find the right balance of, hey,
Yeah,
I want to have my career, but also if you meet a great person, it is okay maybe to start planning a life with them. So,
exactly. Exactly.
good. All
Uh,
right.
I don't have anything else on them. So let's go to
Mm-hmm.
Carla and Juan,
Mm-hmm.
which Carla is 34 and Juan is 36.
Mm-hmm.
She talks like a Kardashian or like a Valley girl. I'm like, oh god, a whole season of this. I don't know if I could take it. But yes, Juan and Carla. So
Mm-hmm.
she's Mexican, and she said that she's
Mm-hmm.
always been in long-term relationships because her
Mm-hmm.
something about her dad being strict and saying, "Hey, we only want to meet the person who's the one." So I can imagine that
Mm-hmm.
that would feel like a lot of pressure to make relationships last and not just be out here having flings left and right because of the
Mm-hmm.
importance and the value that has been put on presenting the right
Mm-hmm.
person.
Yeah,
So,
and her family also maybe not wanting to bond with just any and everyone just because you're dating them right now.
yeah.
Um, he says he's a lot of energy. He loves to dance, loves tacos. He's Colombian, came to the US as a child.
Mhm.
Says that he feels like he has it all, but something is missing. Um, from these two, I wrote both of them have big personalities.
They do. I see areas that they can bond in. For
Mm-hmm.
example, their cultural background. I mean, they're not from the same place, but they can
Mm-hmm.
relate to immigrant stories. And he wants someone who can appreciate his culture, who can dance. She likes
Mm-hmm.
dancing. I don't know if they do the same type of dancing, but maybe they could teach each other. So I think it's important to feel like the person you're with understands such a big part of your story, and that's one of
Mm-hmm.
the things, like the immigrant life is something that you can't teach somebody to appreciate, or you can't teach somebody about. So you had to experience it yourself, and I think that's something they could bond on. Other than that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I see much working here.
Yeah, so he said something. I think it was when the guys got together. I think it was at the Bachelor, which we didn't talk about this. This is progressing pretty quickly, which we are not complaining about.
At all.
We some of the meetings of the family we didn't even of them telling them we didn't even see. They're already dress shopping, tuck shopping. We already have a wedding or
Everything.
two,
Yeah.
so we're not complaining. But yeah, this is progressing pretty quick. But he said something like, "Oh, I know I'm not an easy guy. I'm a lot." I
He
wrote,
said
well, what does that
intricate.
mean?
He
Or
said he's
intricate, yeah.
intricate. And so
And
I'm
he
like, oh
also
yeah, this ain't.
he's like, well, I think it would be good to also pair with someone who's the same way. I want to know, why would you describe yourself in that way? What does that mean?
I think he has a lot of requests, probably. I think he likes his life a
Mm,
certain way. And when he said that, I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work because it seems like he has a structure around him that works and he would like to maintain. But you have to keep in mind, you're 36. He doesn't know this, but his bride is 34. She has had 34 years of life and she probably has structures. And so if you're not flexible,
mm,
that's what it is. I think he might be inflexible. The fact that he emphasized his, yeah,
yeah.
him being intricate.
They both seem, even at the bachelorette, she was up dancing, enjoying herself. So I could definitely see them vibing and having a good time.
Yeah.
But they almost might be too much for each other,
Yeah.
where one of them may need to bring it down a bit to balance the pairing out. I think they both might be on 10. Well, one person may need to be at like a 7 while the
Yeah.
other one's at 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, really quick before we jump to the next couple, these bachelorette and bachelor meetings,
Stale.
so odd.
Stale. Even what they were conversing about, it's like, okay, what's happening here?
We're at a bowling alley, some random bar. Looks like it randomly at 2 p.m. in the middle of the day. I would feel cheated out of the experience.
I didn't watch the full after party, but the little bit that I did catch, they were saying that their friends threw them separate, like individual bachelorette parties, and like
Okay,
they would need to because that
good.
can't be it. That could not be it. All right,
Okay.
and then Madison and Allan, because we saw part of their wedding, and then we'll end with Thomas and Camille since we saw their whole wedding. All right. I don't know. I feel like Alan wants to be Eminem so bad. A little bit.
Even the way he described himself when he gets off work.
Yeah. And so
What?
it would be a lot for me, maybe not for her. I noted that they both love travel and they both come from divorced homes, or homes that from their description were unstable. So I think her mom left and so she was raised by her dad, and his parents divorced. He saw his mom struggle, but then he would go and hang out with his dad. It seems like he has a more healthy relationship with his mom. So I wrote, if this worked out, he could have maybe a warmer feeling from a dad and see what that gets to feel like, and then she would have a mom or something close to it in her mother-in-law. So that would be nice. I don't know what
So
else.
from him, he says, "Oh, at work I'm quiet. Okay, we obviously don't show our maybe full selves in a professional work setting." He claims he turns up, I guess, at happy hour, but I got very chill, sleepy vibes from him, and then
Chill.
from her, yeah, from her. She says she's very outgoing, life of the party, shot queen. I got very high energy from her. I don't know, something about their energies feel very opposite,
Not in a complimentary way.
or not in a complimentary way. And even in how she described what she's looking for physically, she says, "Oh, I usually like tall, athletic build with a baby face," but claims to be open to whatever because what she's wanted in the past hasn't served her. But to me, it really wasn't describing him. He's not a bad looking guy, but the way she described her usual person isn't him. You can tell she spends, invests a lot of time in the gym,
Hmm.
just from her own physique. And so I don't know.
I mean, he's
I
slender.
He is. I didn't get spends much time. I didn't get athletic build
Okay.
from him. I agree with you in that from the situation with their parents that they kind of have the opposite going for each other, where he could bond maybe with her dad and she could maybe bond with his mom. But other than that, I'm not seeing this pairing.
Okay. Oh, they're also both financially stable. So
They are.
that is just one less thing to worry about, I think. Yeah.
Maybe
Oh.
I'm reaching here, but I'm getting, and I know they're different people and the
Mhm.
personalities are not exact, but I'm getting Brennan and Emily from these two.
Oh my gosh. I don't
And
think
and
he's. Mm,
I- and not okay when I say he's like Brennan, not in his mean ways,
okay.
not like that, but more so
His vibe.
he's very chill, and she's the life of the party, like Emily. Even though their personality, we haven't seen enough of them to know much about them, but what we've been presented with, I just
Hmm.
get very opposite energies from them.
Okay, fair.
So
We'll have to see.
time will tell. Yeah.
Yeah. So to their wedding, I mean, we already talked about their family issues. Uh,
Hmm.
his dad seemed just kind of, he showed up, did what he needed to do. But when what's his name, Alan? I almost called him
Hmm.
Brennan. But when Alan was reading the letter that Madison sent him, the dad was kind of like, just read what it says. It's like, bruh, he's trying to have an emotional moment. He's trying to take it. This is his wedding day. Like, can he
The
live?
most interested he was when they took that shot
Right.
together.
Yeah,
And
that's
it
exactly
speaks
right.
volumes to probably their relationship. Even later when he was getting a little bit emotional, the dad was kind of leaning back like, yeah, I'm
Right.
here.
But the moment with
So,
his mom, I thought was beautiful. Because it is such
yeah.
a sudden process. Like, I guess your child has to grow up and leave you someday, but you just found out 2 weeks ago that he was about to get married and leave. That's a lot.
It is. And it seems like it was just them two. I don't
Hmm.
think he has any siblings or he hasn't talked about it.
Mention them. Yeah. And
So
then, of course, the moment with her dad was really sweet. Like,
I love that moment with
that was
her dad.
beautiful.
I'm like, don't have me over here crying
It was
already.
beautiful and very thoughtful.
What did he
Yeah.
say? You're the best kind of daughter, or you're the daughter that everyone needs.
Yeah. He told her she was
Oh,
beautiful. She was, I mean, all the adjectives. I think
yeah.
that for that reason, I hope it works out because, I mean, I'm sure the dad can pull out some other words and do a speech if she has a second wedding, but that moment was extremely heartwarming.
It
All right.
was.
Shall we go to
Right.
Thomas and Camille? The whole show, I was calling this woman Camilla. And then in the end, I'm like, wait, is it Camille? I don't know. I, right off the bat, have a concern about the age difference.
Okay, so we're at 34 and 42. Let me pull up the picture.
No, 30, 32, and 42, right? It's a 10-year
Oh,
age gap.
what? Hold on. Let's see. I
So
thought that
Thomas,
oh, she's 32. You're right.
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I'm wrong.
So I mean, 10 years, even at 32 and 42, can be a lot, don't you think?
I think so. And I think one, it could depend on maybe how each person carries themselves. Like if you're a 32-year-old, but you carry yourself a little bit older, and then the 42-year-old carries himself younger, maybe it works. But 10 years feels like a generation,
Hmm.
especially at maybe not between 42 and 52, but I definitely think
Right.
32 and
32 and
42.
42.
It would
Yeah.
be, it's like the older you get, it's less extreme, but a 22-year-old and a 32-year-old, absolutely not.
You know, it's funny. I was actually reading on Twitter. This person was saying one of the downsides of an age gap that he's recognized in his parents' relationship is his mom is now 70 and she wants to travel the world in ways that she
Hmm.
couldn't do 10 years ago. And but she has to stay home because his dad is in his 80s and can't go. And so she stays, doesn't do her
Hmm.
traveling because she has to be a good spouse. So maybe it
Yeah,
does matter later on in life as well. But
it does. Even just from a social perspective, like as you get older, you maybe just are home more, and one
Hmm.
person, the younger person, may just have a bit more energy still to do certain things.
Yeah.
I've witnessed that. So
But yeah, so he's 42. So Camilla talked about her parents getting a divorce. She talks about them hiding their problems and making it seem like everything was good, and that kind of blew up in their faces. She describes herself as a hopeless romantic, but she wants a grown man who is ready to do the dang thing.
yep, she said these dudes ain't been acting right.
I want to know about her dating history. I don't know if they showed that in the pre-season episodes, but I would
Yeah,
love to
y'all
hear
have to.
more.
Yeah, they have to let us know in the comments if they showed more about her dating experience. She did play basketball. I wonder, were you dating basketball players, girl?
You dating athletes.
Hmm.
uh, okay, and then Thomas, he is a twin, and he describes himself as a perfectionist.
He
His
did.
his closet describes itself as a perfectionist closet too. That is insane. I have not seen that level of organization ever.
Yeah, so for him, people have their things that they're particular about. As long as you can contain it to you, I think to expect other people to have that level of organization is
Too
not
much.
even realistic, unless you're with Marie Kondo.
Right. I bet he's fun to live with.
Not a sock out of place.
Okay.
Um, but he said that he wanted to do this process because it was the push he needed to take the next steps. And for me, that was a red flag. Why do you need to be pushed into this? And even later on, when he describes, moments that he's had with his dad, is in
Hmm.
maybe feeling like, okay, well, I'm not as successful, or I haven't
Yes.
reached a certain place in life because my twin is married and has a kid or kids, feeling like the odd twin out. So it seems as though you've been motivated almost to check a box, even when he described of, oh, I want to be able to take trips and do things with another person. I don't want to maybe be the
With his
third
brother.
wheel,
Yeah.
with his brother. And so he said at least three things for me that were glaring, in that you should come to this realization of, this is what I want because it's just what I want,
Hmm.
not to check a box, not so that you're not the third wheel. And obviously these are maybe other benefits that come with being partnered,
Yeah.
but there should be a deeper yearning, not it tied to making your dad proud or not. And at
Well,
40, and at we all want to make our parents proud.
I'm sure that there are people who are in marriages who have been married for a long time whose motivations weren't always picture perfect. So I don't want to judge him based off of that. There are some people who are like, yeah, I got married because, I mean, we just started, like that girl, is it Shan Booty? Yeah, she's like, when she met her husband, it was a super casual thing and there was no intention behind it, but they grew to that point. So everybody has different reasons. Of course, you want it to be a more admirable reason, or a more like, I came to this on my own because of my own yearning or whatever. But I don't know.
Under that same logic, are
Okay.
you of the same mind that, okay, say a woman's dating a man for 5 years, and she's like, okay, I need you to propose to me by this date, that
Hmm.
he's like, okay, yes, basically because she gave an ultimatum, like,
Is
yeah.
okay. Is he committed to being a good spouse to her?
But
If
wouldn't you
he,
want it to be where you came to that realization on your
I
own without?
would, but for some people, it's just enough that
Mhm.
you've done it and I have the status and you're good to me
Hmm.
still.
Okay, I won't project. I guess for me, for Camille,
Yeah.
especially the way she describes yearning for marriage,
Hmm.
already knowing I want to be married and all
Yeah.
in on the commitment, I would want her to be paired with someone
Yes.
who's yearned for it with that same hunger, and not just like, well, I'm here.
Might as well.
Yeah, might as
What's that?
well.
Meet me at the altar in your white dress. We ain't getting no younger. We might as well do it. That's the vibe he's giving. People used to play that song at
Ooh.
their weddings. I'm like, y'all don't be listening to lyrics. But
But
anyway,
I will say in his defense, he did say something later in the episode where he did say that he's always wanted to be married and he's always wanted to have a family.
yeah.
It just seems as though maybe he was putting it off. He also talked about having a fear of taking that next step
Hmm.
with someone. So I'd be curious to hear about his dating history. Was it long-term relationships? Did you have a few girlfriends in there who thought an engagement was coming, but you knew it wasn't?
Well, I will say, so he had both of his moms there. So that
Their
was,
family structure is kind of complicated. I couldn't
yeah, I
follow it.
didn't fully grasp it either. So he has adopted family, but then he has biological family too. He just met his
Hmm.
biological mom 7 years ago. Uh, yeah. And then Camille at the end, or well, before the wedding, gets cold feet. You know, the last time someone got cold feet that way, I remember was the New Orleans season. For those who are OG MAFS watchers, Karen and Miles. And she was like, I kind of saw his picture. He's not the type of guy I would go for. But they ended up staying married. They became like an influencer couple and then eventually got divorced. And so I'm like, ooh, it's hard not to think about the last time that a woman had this level of cold feet and went through with the wedding.
Yeah, well, she did go through with it. I was with the producer, so you wait until you got right here to tell us. You just thought about all this,
It's like, yeah, it's just not me as a person.
girl.
I'm sorry.
What did
Did you
you think
just
about
discover
this
yourself?
wedding? What did you
Huh?
think about this wedding?
Okay, I
She
thought
walked out.
the fit. I wasn't in love with her taste in dresses. I felt like some of them were giving like Shein a little bit, but she is a beautiful woman.
Hmm.
I thought the family and friends did a great job, both on both sides, of highlighting their good and letting them know,
They
hey, you're
did.
getting a catch. We don't always see that. We see people trying to be playful, and it could just be a testament to their friend group being older,
Hmm.
you know. But yeah, I didn't mind the wedding. I thought the lady who was the officiant did an excellent job. She was fun. It was light. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I think the energy of the whole ceremony was pretty light. She walks out, he looks at her, kind of smiles. They were standing kind of far apart, but I felt they were just nervous.
Hmm.
And once things got going, they seemed to get a bit more comfortable. I can't tell if they both like what they see, but based off of the kiss, which was pretty light, and they kept it cute.
You're
I'm
strangers.
Yeah, they're strangers. I didn't get, oh, I'm just
I'm
so all
repulsed.
in. Yeah, and I also didn't get, I'm repulsed either. So
Yeah.
I think we just have
Okay.
to wait and see.
Yeah, I thought, to your point, his vows also spoke to the fact that this might not be something he's fully thought through, because he said, oh, I've never believed in fate until now. Well, in 42 years, what made you, like, why now do you believe in
Why not?
fate? And what didn't you believe in before? Like, run me back to where you were with fate before and why all of a sudden it makes sense for the biggest decision of your life, who you will be partnered with. But maybe it doesn't matter as much because he's done a huge chunk of his life on his own.
Hmm.
So, anyway,
Yeah.
that's all
Yeah.
I had for this episode. Did you have other
Yeah.
things?
Yeah, that was it. We'll wait until next week to give our predictions.
Yeah, until all the weddings are done. But we'll be back soon for the Love is Blind review. So if
Hmm.
you are catching this MAFS review and you also watch Love is Blind, feel free to watch our reviews on it on this season so far. And we'll be back with the episode 10 and 11 this
Hmm.
weekend. So
Yeah.
see y'all then.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.